Alright, let's get started. So I have my terminal open to start my Jupyter notebook. If you're on a Windows machine, just make sure to start it with your Anaconda command prompt. So all we need to type is Jupyter notebook, and it will kick off a web browser for us. And all we need to do at this point is just click New and start a new Python notebook. We can get started. So we'll give this one a title and get going. So as I've mentioned before, since we're running Anaconda, we already have everything we need, and all we have to do to load NLTK is type in import NLTK. And I'm going to hit Shift Enter. It's going to take me to the next line, run my previous line. I could also do the same thing by clicking play, this play button right here. That will run my line and take me to the next line. So by doing this, I've imported NLTK, and we can start using some of that functionality now. NLTK comes with pre-packaged text data. Project Gutenberg is a group that digitizes books and literature that are mostly in the public domain. These works make great examples for practicing NLP. If you're interested in Project Gutenberg, I recommend checking out their site. I will paste the link for you here if you want to find out more. But to start practicing, we're going to pull in some text from Project Gutenberg, and we're going to start loading the book Moby Dick. So let's take a look. Look at NLTK, corpus, Gutenberg, file IDs. So basically, we're going to call back all the text files that we loaded earlier when we did the NLTK download that are associated with Project Gutenberg. Now this is just a small subset of all the Project Gutenberg files, but we're just going to take a look at a few of them here. You can see we get a list that comes back, and you might notice that every file name here has the letter U before it. This is not actually part of the file name. The U is part of an external representation of the file name. The file name is actually a string in Python. The U just means it's a Unicode string as opposed to a byte string. It acts as a reminder telling us how the computer is interpreting the text. We will cover this topic in more depth later, but for now you can simply ignore the U's. If you see any of these U's when we're working with text or generating text, you can ignore them. Again, it's just a reminder of how this text is being handled. To start working with the Moby Dick text, we can save it into a variable. So I'm going to call the variable MD, and we'll just say NLTK, corpus, Gutenberg. Now we want to get the words back from this book. That's how we do this in NLTK. And we'll just type the name of that file. Alright, so now we have that book saved in our MD variable. And it behaves like a Python list. We can easily look at the first 8 items. So if I say MD, we type in 8 here, we're going to see that we get each word coming back as part of a list. So we have Moby Dick, we have the author, and it looks like we have the year. So with NLTK, we can start by counting how many times a word appears in the book. So we just call our variable and count. And for example, we can see how many times the word whale appears. We can also do this for the word boat. We can also try to see what happens if we do this for a word that we know is not in the book. So it comes back as a 0 instead of giving us an error. So that's good to know. Since we have the whole book stored in a single variable, we can get a rough idea of how long the book is by seeing how many items are in our list. So it's roughly how many words are in this book. So we can do length we can get an approximate idea of how long this book is. If we wanted to discover how many unique words are in this book, we can get a look at the set of words. In mathematics, a set is defined as a collection of distinct objects. In our case, if we look at a set of all the words in this book, we will get back one copy of every word used. So let's create a new variable, md set, and set it equal to set md. Now we can examine the length of this set. And we can see there are approximately 19,000 unique words used. So with these two numbers, we can actually calculate the average number of times any given word is used in the book. Now, since we're using Python 2.7, we need to import something here just to do our division. So we can do the length of the book itself divided by the length of the set. So this tells us that each word was used on average around 13 times throughout the book. When we originally saved the book in the variable md, it was being treated as a list of words. We could have also saved the book as a list of sentences. So let's try that now. So we can create a new variable. So now with this information, we can calculate the average number of words per sentence in the book. So we can do the length of the book that we originally had, broken down by words, and divide by the length, the number of sentences. So this is the average number of words per sentence in the book. So this is a brief introduction to some of the things you can do with NLTK, and we will find ourselves using these commands as we continue through the course.